go again, friend. Come closer to your pillow. Let the weight of your day drift slowly away, like fog leaving the Thames at dawn. Tonight we enter one of the most haunting, mysterious, and transformative centuries in London's long life. A century that begins with ambition and ends with rebirth. From 1300 to 1400, London was a city full of noise, dreams, trade, gossip, and grit. A place where merchants haggled in crowded markets, monks murmured prayers in stone cloisters, children chased chickens through narrow lanes, and bakers woke before dawn to scorch bread with absolutely astonishing consistency. It was a century of rising confidence. Bigger ships, stronger guilds, richer markets, stone bridges, bustling ports, and new ambitions. London was thriving, growing, hungry for the future. And then, without warning, the world shifted. A shadow crossed Europe. A silence that swallowed entire towns. A fear so deep it felt like winter had entered human hearts. The Black Death. Do not worry, friend. We will not dwell on horrors here. Tonight is a soft retelling, gentle as candlelight. No frightening details, no grim descriptions, only the emotional truth of a city that was wounded and then found a way to breathe again. For London survived. It always does. And after the plague came, changed new freedoms, new wages, new voices, including the rising voice of the working classes. And from that rising came one of the most unexpected moments in medieval English history, the Peasants Revolt of 1381, when common people walked straight into London and demanded to be heard, a moment when the city realized that power no longer rested solely in crowns, castles, or noble bloodlines, but in its people. By the end of this century, London would not be the same city it was in 1300. It would be something new, leaner, wiser, bruised, but fiercely alive. Tonight we walk through this century together, softly, slowly, like lanterns gliding over still water. We will watch the city in its daily rhythms. The taverns, the markets, the guild halls, the quiet moments beside the Thames. We will see how people lived, how they feared, how they laughed, how they hoped, and how even under the darkest shadow, London's heartbeat never stopped. Settle in, friend. Let the candle of your mind burn low. Let your breathing match the pace of this old, enduring city. Our path begins in the early 1300s, a time when London believes the future is bright and unbreakable. It does not yet see the shadow, moving slowly toward it. But you and I, we can see everything from here. And so, gently, we begin. Chapter 1. London in 1300. A city on the rise. Close your eyes for a moment, my friend. Let the room dim around you. Let your breath settle. and imagine the soft glow of a candle flickering against old stone walls, because tonight we walk into London in the year 1300. A London that is still medieval, still walled, still crowded, still smelling faintly of fish and firewood, but also a London on the edge of something bigger. London in 1300 is not the fragile, recovering town we left behind at the end of episode 2. It has grown in population, in ambition, in noise, in confidence, and it greets us now like a city, stretching its arms at sunrise full of purpose and promise. Let me show you what it looked like. A city wrapped in stone and timber. The first thing you notice as you walk along the dusty road toward the gates is the wall, the great Roman wall, patched and reinforced, but still standing proud after more than 1,000 years. 7 massive stone gates pierce it: Aldgate to the east, Newgate to the west, Bishopsgate, Cripplegate, Moorgate, and the wonderfully dramatic Ludgate guarding the approach to St. Paul's. Merchants, monks, peasants, peddlers, soldiers, and the occasional suspicious goose all pass through these gates daily. Inside the walls, London feels alive. Timber houses lean inward over the streets, as if whispering gossip to one another. So narrow are some lanes that 2 neighbors could shake hands through their upstairs windows, and occasionally did, usually to complain about someone dumping chamber pot water too early in the morning. But this is not a poor or backward city. No, this is the beating commercial heart of England. The Thames, London's silver spine. Walk south and the city opens onto its gleaming river. The Thames, the source of its wealth, its identity, its heartbeat. Barges glide past, heavy with wool, wine, grain, and spices. Watermen shout for passengers, calling out destinations with the enthusiasm of modern taxi drivers stuck in traffic. Seagulls wheel overhead, and the air tastes faintly of salt, tar, and the day's catch. Children chase each other along the wharves. Sailors unload bales from Flanders. Italian merchants argue about exchange rates in accents thick enough to slice into coins. London Bridge rises above it all, a city on a bridge lined with timber shops, homes, workshops, and the constant movement of boots and hooves. Below the bridge, the water roars. Above it, life bustles without pause. Cheapside, the roaring heart of commerce. If the Thames is London's spine, Cheapside is its booming voice. Here is where commerce reaches its peak. Stall after stall, smiths hammering, bakers shouting. Prices, cloth merchants unfurling bolts of colored wool, spice sellers tempting passers-by with scents. That traveled across deserts and seas. The noise is endless: carpenters sawing, children laughing, goats bleating, a fishmonger declaring, loudly and proudly, that his salmon is absolutely, unquestionably the freshest in the kingdom. Cheapside is the place where you learn that medieval Londoners did not whisper. They negotiated, argued, joked, complained, and bargained at full volume. And behind the chaos lies order, the great guilds, But that is a story for another chapter. St. Paul's, the soul of the city. At the center of the city rises old St. Paul's. Not the St. Paul's Cathedral you know today, but a vast Gothic giant longer than a football field and taller than any building in medieval England. Its spire pierces the sky like a spear aimed at heaven. Inside, incense lingers in the cool air. Candles flicker. Pilgrims shuffle on worn stone floors. Priests chant softly, their voices echoing beneath arches. That seemed impossibly high to the people of the age. The cathedral grounds serve as a gathering place, a meeting point, and occasionally a marketplace, because medieval Londoners were never shy about mixing sacred business with actual business. Even here, in holy space, the hum of the city never fully fades. Westminster, the quiet seat of power. Travel west, follow the river, and you reach Westminster -- a separate settlement in 1300 with fields between it and the City of London. Here stand Westminster Abbey, Westminster Hall, and the palace where kings hold court, compared to London's crowded markets. Westminster feels like a calmer, more dignified sibling, the one who always speaks softly and never forgets important dates. But its influence is enormous. It is here that Parliament meets, that laws are shaped, that kings rule. London wields money, Westminster wields authority. Together they form the twin hearts of medieval England. A city confident in its future. London in 1300 is bustling, loud, and hopeful. The city is expanding beyond its walls. More suburbs appear each year. Taverns glow with lamplight at dusk. Apprentices gossip over ale. Merchants count coins in flickering candlelight. Dock workers unload ships until their backs ache. Nuns tend to the sick. Scholars debate theology in tucked-away corners. Life is crowded, messy, and wonderfully alive. The city believes the future is bright, that growth will continue, that trade will increase, that tomorrow will be even better than today. No one imagines the shadow that is moving slowly across the world. No one dreams that within half a century, London will kneel under a darkness it has never known. But tonight, in 1300, the city hums with life, with noises, with laughter, with purpose, the calm before the storm, the breath before the plunge, the heartbeat before the silence. Chapter 2. The people of the city. Daily life. Before the storm. Before the plague ever touched London, before whispers of darkness drifted across the sea, the city lived in the steady rhythm of its people. Tonight, let's wander softly through that snapshot of daily life. Not the kings or the councils, but the ordinary Londoners whose footsteps filled the streets. Let your breathing slow. Let the candle in your mind glow warm and steady. And imagine the people who made London in 1300. a world unto itself. The early risers, bakers, butchers, and brewers. Dawn belongs to the workers of fire and grain. Before the sun even hints at the horizon, London's bakers are already awake, stooping under the weight of flour sacks, shaping dough with quiet skill, tending ovens that glow like small suns. In the dim stillness of morning, the smell of hot bread rolls through the alleys of the city, a soft, comforting promise that another day has begun. Nearby butchers sharpen knives. Against whetstones, their aprons already dusted with salt, and their stalls hung with cuts of meat, for the market soon to open. And brewers, oh yes, brewers start early too. Huge wooden vats bubble gently, filling the air with warm, malty sweetness. Beer is safer than water in medieval London. Even children drink the weak version called small ale. So brewers work constantly at their workshops humming, like patient beehives at dawn. The craftsmen, hands that shape the city. As the sun rises, London's craftsmen spill into the streets. A multitude of trades, each essential to the city's heartbeat. Blacksmiths hammer sparks from iron, coopers shape barrels for wine and ale, carpenters plane wood into beams and doors. Cobblers stitch, boots for every walk of life. Weavers spin wool into fabric, goldsmiths etch patterns into shimmering rings. Potters turn clay into humble bowls and cups. Their hands are rough, their backs strong, their voices loud, and their pride unmistakable. London is not built by kings. It is built by these hands, calloused, determined, and always in motion. Each craft has its guild. Each guild has its rules, and each rule is written to maintain quality, honor, and fairness. Guilds are the quiet government of the city within the walls. But we will return to them later. Merchants, the lifeblood of London's wealth. Move toward the river, and you enter the kingdom of merchants. Some deal in wool, the treasure of England. Some trade in spices from Venice, cloth from Flanders, wine from Gascony, glass from Genoa, dyes from the Levant. They speak many languages: English, French, Dutch, and occasionally a very creative mixture of all three. Merchants wear long cloaks, carry heavy purses, and think constantly about profits and storms and ship arrivals and exchange rates. They are the engines of London's prosperity. In their hands, the city grows rich. Women of the city. Quiet power visible everywhere. Women in 1300 London are not confined to shadows. You see them everywhere, selling vegetables in Bow Lane, stirring vats of dye in clothmaker workshops, running inns and ale houses, weaving at looms, tending market stalls, mending clothes, raising children, preparing meals, carrying water from public wells, or singing softly while sweeping the street outside their home. Some are midwives. Some are healers. Some keep the accounts for family businesses with a precision that would terrify a modern tax officer. Medieval London women rarely appear in chronicles, but they appear in every corner of the city. Their work keeps households steady, streets lively, and communities whole. Children, the city's bright noise. Ah, the children. They do not wait for permission to fill the city with energy. They chase geese through alleyways. They splash in puddles. They race wooden hoops down the street. They help carry firewood. They attend small church schools where Latin is recited like a mysterious spell. Their laughter rises above the murmur of markets like birdsong over a river. And though their lives are simple, they are joyful. Minutes filled with games, chores, and curious glances at every stranger who walks past. Children are the warmth in London's rough old heart. Monks and clerics, keepers of quiet. If you slip away from the bustle into one of the many monasteries or priories, you enter a different world. Grey friars, black friars, Holy Trinity, and dozens more dot the landscape. Some vast, some intimate and tucked between houses. Here, monks tend herb gardens, copy manuscripts, teach grammar and prayer, offer charity to the poor, and ring bells that drift across the rooftops like gentle reminders of heaven. The city may roar outside, but inside these stone walls, the rhythm is quieter. Psalms, ink, quiet footsteps, and the faint smell of wax and parchment. The poor, living on the edges of wealth. Not everyone in London thrives. In narrow alleys like shambles, in cramped wooden houses, and in the fringe settlements outside the walls, the poor struggle. Laborers waiting for daily wages, widows mending torn clothes for coins, beggars seeking food from monasteries, and newcomers from the countryside, hoping to find a better life. They live close together, sometimes 8 or 10 in a room. They work hard, they endure much, and yet many carry hope. The belief that in a city as crowded as London, opportunity might one day knock. Evening, the soft fade of the medieval day. As dusk settles, the city relaxes. Shutters close, candles glow in windows, taverns fill with conversation, stories, laughter, songs that drift over the rooftops. Merchants count coins, craftsmen wash their hands, women stir evening stews, children yawn, monks chant Compline. The sky darkens above St. Paul's, like a velvet curtain closing on a day well lived. London in 1300 does not know what is coming ... The famine, the fear, the silent shadow that will fall upon every hearth. But tonight, the city sleeps in warmth, its people wrapped in the simple comfort of daily routines and familiar sounds, a gentle peace, a soft breath, a fragile calm before history shifts. Chapter 3: Trade Winds and Foreign Voices. Take a slow breath, my friend, and imagine the faint creaking of wooden masts, the rippling whisper of sails, catching a soft Thames breeze and the murmur of dozens of languages, blending like threads in a great tapestry. Because in the early 1300s, London was not just a city, and it was a port dash, one of the busiest in all of Northern Europe, a crossroads of merchants, travelers, ship captains, pilgrims, adventurers, and fortune seekers. Tonight we walk along the river's edge and listen to the trade winds that carry voices from far beyond England's shores. Settle deeper into your pillow and follow the sound of water. The Thames, a highway to the world. The Thames in 1300 is not the quiet, polished waterway you may know today. It is a working river, wide, bustling, crowded. Barges press against piers. Cargo is stacked in towering heaps. Wool sacks, wine barrels, crates of grain, bundles of cloth from Flanders, and exotic spices wrapped in careful cloth. Seagulls cry overhead. Watermen shout for space, maneuvering their boats with practiced strokes. Ropes creak, crates thud. Merchants argue, politely, loudly, and sometimes in languages no one fully understands. This river is London's lungs. Through it, the city breathes in goods, wealth, news, and the stories of faraway lands. Foreign merchants, London's most interesting guests. Walk along the quays, and you'll meet travelers from every direction. Flemish weavers and cloth merchants, tall, serious, draped in thick wool cloaks, their ledgers meticulously neat, their eyes always scanning for profit. They bring fine cloth, smooth, soft, dyed in colors so rich they almost glow. And they leave with England's treasure, raw wool. Italian bankers and traders from Genoa, Pisa, and Venice, elegantly dressed, quick with numbers, speaking with musical accents that make even arguments sound charming. They bring silk, glass, spices, books, and the most precious item of all, credit. Italian bankers quietly revolutionize London's economy with loans, letters of exchange, and complex financial systems that English merchants are only beginning to understand. The Hanseatic merchants from the cold waters of the Baltic, Lübeck, Hamburg, Danzig, stoic, practical, masters of shipping and storage. They bring wax, timber, furs, fish, metals. They establish their own trading base, the steel yard just west of London Bridge. Inside the steel yard walls, you hear German songs, smell foreign dishes cooking, and watch the rhythms of a world quite different from England's. Wine traders from Gascony, cheerful, sun-tanned, and carrying barrels of deep red wine. That fills taverns all the way to Cheapside. They know London well, and London knows them. For where there is wine, there are happy Londoners. The markets, a symphony of trade. Follow the flow of foreign goods into the city's great markets, Billingsgate, where fish arrives in such abundance that the smell alone could guide you there blindfolded. Cheapside, the roaring heart of commerce, where French, English, Dutch, and Italian voices interlace like a music without melody, yet strangely harmonious. East Cheap, where butchers compete in both skill and volume. The Wool Wharf, the true gold mine of England. Wool is the treasure that fuels the kingdom. As soft as it feels in your hand, it is as hard as steel in shaping London's future. Merchants' houses, quiet hubs of power. Behind the markets along narrow streets with names like Bread Street, Milk Street, Ironmonger Lane. Stand tall timber houses with overhanging upper floors. Merchants live here. Families, servants, apprentices, dogs, sometimes chickens for good measure. Inside, counting tables occupy corners, chests filled with coins rest under beds. Letters from abroad, written in flowing Italian cursive or neat Flemish handwriting, sit stacked beside the hearth. At night, candles glow through open shutters. As merchants study their ledgers, planning shipments and payments, that affect not just London, but distant cities across the sea. The language of trade, a beautiful confusion. Stand long enough by a wharf bilingual, without even realizing it. You hear English sprinkled with French vocabulary, French laced with English grammar, Dutch mixed with English street slang, Italian phrases adopted into merchant talk, and the steady tone of Low German. From Hanseatic traders, it is messy, it is chaotic, it is beautiful. This linguistic dance is the sound of a globalizing world, centuries before people had a word for it. Taverns, where deals are made and stories shared. Trade doesn't end at sunset. After the markets and docks quiet down, merchants retreat to taverns. Warm, lively, smoky rooms filled with laughter, negotiation, arguments about wool prices, and the occasional spilled ale. Some taverns are elegant, owned by wealthy vintners, lined with foreign tapestries, serving imported wine. Others are humble, low wooden ceilings, straw on the floor, a cat guarding the corner, with the seriousness of a palace sentinel. In every tavern, deals are struck, friendships forged, languages exchanged. And somewhere, in the comforting glow of candlelight, a merchant from Genoa and a wool dealer from Yorkshire can laugh together, as if they share the same homeland. London's identity, a city shaped by outsiders. By 1300, London is no longer simply an English city. It is an English city with Dutch tools, French fashions, Italian banking methods, German ships, and spices from lands further than imagination stretches. Foreigners are not simply visitors. They are part of London's fabric, building its wealth, influencing its culture, expanding its knowledge, shaping its future. London grows not by isolating itself, but by absorbing the world around it, like a great, ancient tree whose roots drink from many soils. The trade winds before the silence. As this chapter closes, picture once more the river at dusk. Ships anchored against the fading light, voices drifting across the water. Lanterns swinging gently from masts, the tide rising and falling, like the breathing of a sleeping giant. London in 1300 does not yet sense the ghostly shadow approaching across the seas. For now, its docks, markets, taverns, and counting houses thrive with confidence and noise. This is the city at its busiest, its wealthiest, its boldest. Trade winds fill its sails, foreign voices fill its streets, and the future feels open, bright, inviting, a perfect calm before a darkness no one is prepared for. Chapter 4. London under Edward I and Edward II. Settle deeper into your pillow, friend. Tonight we drift into the reigns of Edward I and Edward II, two kings as different as fire and water, yet both shaping the London that quietly hums beneath our feet in the early 1300s. Let the sounds of the city soften around you. Let the centuries unfold like pages of an old manuscript. We begin with the strong, determined footsteps of a king who believed that order could be built from stone. Edward I, the Builder King. Edward I, who took the throne in 1272, was a man carved from determination. Tall, imposing, sharp-minded, he walked like someone who always knew where he was going and why everyone should get out of his way. London felt his authority immediately. He reorganized the courts, tightened administration, and treated laws the way a blacksmith treats iron. Heated them until they glowed and hammered them into the shape he wanted. And London, bustling and ambitious, responded well to structure. Edward expanded justice, strengthened sheriffs, and insisted that London follow a cleaner, more reliable legal system. It was not always comfortable, but it was effective. The city transforms under his reign. Walk through London in the 1290s, and you notice something unusual for medieval Europe. Stone. More stone buildings rise every year, replacing wooden homes that leaned dangerously. Over the roads, merchants invest in sturdier warehouses, guilds rebuild halls to reflect their pride, churches expand with Gothic ambition, vaults higher, windows larger, bells louder. London is beginning to feel less like a medieval fortress and more like a city preparing for the future. Edward encouraged this. He wanted his capital strong, orderly, and unmistakably loyal. Markets expand, law strengthens. Under Edward I, London's markets became livelier than ever. Cheapside grew more crowded. Bread, meat, cloth, spices. Every stall shouted its identity. From morning to dusk, the king's officers patrolled regularly, ensuring weights were fair, and bread was sold at the correct price, though medieval bakers still managed to scorch their loaves with impressive consistency. Law courts grew busier too. Edward's legal reforms, especially the Statute of Westminster brought new clarity to property, crime, and trade. Londoners grumbled but secretly appreciated that life flowed more smoothly when everyone knew the rules. Money, taxes, and the crown's watchful eyes. Edward I was a master of governance, but also of taxation. London contributed generously to his military campaigns, especially for wars in Wales and Scotland. Merchants muttered into their ale cups. Guilds frowned over their ledgers. But the city paid it because London understood something. Many medieval towns did not. A stable king meant a stable market, and London cared deeply about stable markets. The expulsion of the Jews, 1290, told gently one of the somber moments of Edward's reign was the expulsion of the Jewish community in 1290. They had lived in London for more than a century. Moneylenders, physicians, scholars, their presence shaped the city's early economy. But rising tensions, heavy taxation, religious hostility, and political pressure led Edward to issue an expulsion order. The tone of London dimmed, shops shuttered, homes emptied. Families boarded ships with quiet sorrow. It would be almost 400 years before Jews returned openly to England. The city carried that absence like a missing note in a familiar song. Edward I's final years, a city growing too fast. By the time Edward I died in 1307, London had grown far beyond what its ancient Roman wall was ever meant to contain. Suburbs spread in every direction, Southwark across the river, Clerkenwell to the north, Stepney to the east, Westminster to the west. The city felt bigger, busier, more confident. London was ready for the 1300s, but Edward II was not ready for London. Edward II, the unpredictable son. Edward II ascended the throne with a completely different energy. Where his father was disciplined, Edward II was impulsive. Where his father built order, Edward II attracted chaos. Where Edward I respected London's power, Edward II underestimated it. London noticed immediately. Merchants exchanged glances, guild masters tightened lips. Even apprentices sensed that the new king was different. He preferred pleasure to policy, friends to advisors, and entertainment to administration. London sighed collectively. The sigh of a city that had grown used to efficiency and now braced for uncertainty. The city's patience wears thin. Edward II's favoritism, especially toward Piers Gaveston irritated nobles. and made the city uneasy. London had long memories of royal mismanagement, and this new king, despite his charm, often ignored the machinery of state. Markets still bustled, because markets always do, but beneath the noise. There was tension. By the 1310s, war, famine, and political quarrels strained the kingdom, and in London, where every rumor travels, faster than a ship with a tailwind, patience thinned like an old cloak. The Great Famine, 1315 to 1317. Gentle portrayal. Rain fell, fields failed, prices soared, and London, heavily dependent on trade and grain shipments, felt the hardship deeply. Children waited longer for bread. Merchants struggled to fill their stalls. The city grew quieter, slower, heavier, like a great beast, conserving energy. But London endured. It always did. Political turmoil and a city that watches. As Edward II clashed with his nobles, London tried to stay steady, supporting whichever side seemed most likely to preserve its trade and security. But when Isabella, the Queen, rose against Edward with Mortimer in 1326,
London took a decisive stance.
it opened its gates to the rebels. Edward II fled. London supported the regime change. The king was deposed. It was not an act of cruelty, but of survival. The city wanted stability above all else, and in the early 1300s, Edward II could not provide it. A city poised on the edge of a century. With the fall of Edward II and the rise of his young son, Edward III, London once again prepared for a new era. No one knew that famine would be followed by something far darker. No one imagined the silence that would sweep the streets within a generation. But in 1300 to 1327, London stands strong, vibrant, loud, restless, hopeful, and utterly unaware that history's greatest shadow is slowly drawing closer. For now the city breathes deeply in the last calm air before the world changes forever. Chapter 5, A Year of Bad Weather, Famine, and Hard Times. Take a slow, gentle breath, my friend. Let the sound of rain soften in your imagination. A quiet drizzle falling on old rooftops, rippling across puddles, tapping softly on wooden shutters. Because tonight we step into one of the most difficult moments London faced before the Great Plague arrived. Not a war, not a rebellion, but weather. Simple, relentless, unforgiving weather. A series of seasons that refuse to behave. This is the story of the Great Famine of 1315 to 1317, told gently as a memory from long ago. The sky changes first. It began with clouds that drifted in from the Atlantic, with the steady determination of travelers who had no intention of leaving. At first, Londoners welcomed the rain, a cool drink for the fields, a blessing for crops. But then the rain fell again, and again, and again. Days blurred together in the rhythm of falling water. Roof tiles glistened constantly. Roads softened into mud. Rivers swelled. The sky stayed gray for so long that even monks began using new metaphors in their sermons. And quietly, farmers outside London began to worry. Wheat needed sunlight. Barley needed warmth. Oats needed a break from the wet. The fields received none of these things. The harvest fails. By late summer of 1315, the truth settled heavily across the countryside. The crops had not grown. The grain was thin, weak, pale. Some fields grew nothing at all. In London, news arrived in fragments. A worried carter mentioning empty fields, a river merchant murmuring that grain prices were creeping upward, a miller complaining that the flour no longer felt right beneath his fingers. But still, London hoped. Maybe the next season would be kinder. Maybe traders would bring grain from abroad. Maybe things would somehow miraculously balance. And then came winter, a cruel, waterlogged winter. With no chance for fields to recover, the famine had begun. Markets grow uneasy. Walk into Cheapside in 1316, and you notice it immediately. Stalls are still set up, merchants still shout, bakers still offer fresh loaves. But everything feels thinner. Prices rise. Coins vanish faster. Merchants bargain more cautiously. Wagon loads from the countryside grow fewer, and the people move with a subdued edge, like a city holding its breath. Bread dash dash, the heart of the medieval diet, becomes a careful purchase, small, precious, and sometimes stretched, with whatever filler the baker can manage. Vegetables increase in price. As gardens flood, meat becomes rare for the poor. Beer grows weaker because barley harvests failed. London is not starving. The city is too wealthy and too connected for that. But life becomes more difficult, more expensive, more uncertain. Rain without rest. In the spring of 1316, Londoners looked to the sky with hopeful eyes. Surely the weather will change. Surely the sun will return. Surely the fields will recover. But the clouds are relentless. Rain floods roads until they become rivers of brown water. Grain left to dry in barns rots and spoils. Hay cannot be stored. Animals grow weak. Even the Thames, usually the city's reliable partner, rises unpredictably, making loading and unloading ships a slippery, inconvenient dance. The weather does not feel dangerous or dramatic. It feels exhausting, a slow, steady pressure on every part of daily life. The city endures. London is no stranger to hardship. It adapts the way old trees bend in wind. Guilds organize food distribution. Monasteries increase charity. Parish churches give alms more frequently than usual. Merchants import grain from more distant regions. France, the Baltic, parts of the Low Countries. But even imported supplies cannot fully counter rising demand. Families share meals, taverns dilute ale, bakers make smaller loaves, and people learn to stretch what little they have over days and weeks. Still, despite the strain, London does not fall apart. Its people complain. Yes, loudly, creatively, and often hilariously, but they continue working, trading, cooking, building, sweeping their doorsteps, lighting candles in windows, and greeting neighbors with tired but genuine warmth. Even in hardship, the city's spirit holds steady. A subtle shift in society. The famine creates changes no one fully understands at the time. Workers are suddenly more valuable. There are not enough strong laborers to harvest what little grows. Wages rise. Opportunities open. Young people leave the countryside and head to London, seeking better prospects. Merchants discover new trade routes. Guilds tighten their rules to protect prices and quality. Clergy emphasize charity and spiritual resilience. It is as if hardship stirs the city into a new shape. The famine hurts, but it also teaches. London learns flexibility, ingenuity, and quiet endurance. Lessons that will prepare the city for the far greater shadow approaching in the decades ahead. Hope returns slowly. By 1317, the skies finally begin to clear. Sunlight returns hesitantly, as if embarrassed by its long absence. Fields recover, wheat grows taller, grain carts arrive, with steady rhythm once more. Markets brighten, taverns feel livelier, the city exhales a long, collective breath. The famine ends, not with triumph, but with relief, a reminder of how fragile life can be and how strong Londoners are when faced with uncertainty. A calm before a deeper silence. As Chapter 5 fades, picture London at dusk in 1317. Golden light on wet roofs, the Thames shimmering softly, apprentices laughing in the street, monks filing into chapel, merchants closing shutters. With a hopeful sigh, the city has survived. It feels wiser, older, more cautious, but still full of life. It does not know that in 30 short years, another shadow far darker, far quieter, far more mysterious, will drift across the sea. But for now, London sleeps under clearer skies, and you, friend, may rest with it. Chapter 6. The Calm Before the Plague. Take a deep, soft breath, my friend. Tonight we stand in the early 1340s, in a London unaware. That history's quietest and darkest visitor is already crossing distant seas. For now, the city glows with energy, a calm, confident hum. After surviving famine, political turmoil, and the unpredictable reigns of kings, London believes It has seen hardship and overcome it. No one knows that the true test has not yet begun. Settle into your pillow. Let the city open before you. A city growing brighter. Walk through London on a spring morning in 1340, and you feel it immediately, a sense of momentum, a gentle optimism. The sky is clear. The Thames moves steadily like a great silver ribbon. Ships line its banks, their sails fluttering lazily, as if stretching after a long sleep. Carpenters hammer, bells ring in church towers. Merchants open wooden shutters with cheerful thuds. London has rebuilt itself. After the famine, street by street, hall by hall, dock by dock, a city that had once felt weighted with rain and worry now lifts its head again. The markets return to life. Cheapside is the first to wake. Stalls bloom like flowers along the length of the street. Piles of apples, sacks of grain, fresh loaves, bundles of herbs, fabrics dyed in deep reds and greens. Vendors shout prices. With renewed confidence, their voices blending into a vibrant chorus. Farther down in Eastcheap, butchers carve meat with rhythmic precision. And at Billingsgate, fishmongers dump buckets of water over gleaming piles of cod, herring, and eel. Especially eel, always eel. London never stops loving them. The famine taught London to appreciate abundance, and now the city savors every sign of it. Craftsmen and guilds at their peak. In narrow lanes behind the markets, craftsmen work with calm, focused tanners softening leather, goldsmiths shaping rings, coopers bending wood for barrels, blacksmiths heating iron, weavers beating rhythm into cloth. The guilds, those proud brotherhoods of medieval trade, are stronger than ever. Their halls host meetings, feasts, debates about prices and plans for the future. Guilds regulate quality, offer apprenticeships, and give London its heartbeat of skill. In the steady tapping of hammers and the soft whir of spinning wheels, you can almost hear the city's confidence rebuilding. The Thames, a river busy with promise. Follow the curve of the river and see it teeming with life. Italian galleys unload crates of books, spices, glass. Flemish cogs bring fine cloth and leave with English wool. Hanseatic ships arrive heavy with wax, timber, and fish. French wine merchants thump barrels onto the wharf with practiced ease. Children chase one another along the docks. Dogs nap in the sun. Sailors call to friends on shore. Taverns near the water fill with the chatter of a dozen languages. The river feels warm, friendly, familiar. No one could imagine it becoming. a silent witness to the emptiest months in London's history. But that is still far away. Edward III and the Age of Confidence. Edward III rules England now, young, ambitious, fond of pageantry. London loves him. He is everything his father was not: confident, organized, charismatic, passionate about chivalry and trade. Under his reign, roads improve, guilds flourish, markets expand, law courts grow efficient. Westminster becomes a true political center, and Londoners feel that the city is entering a golden age. Even war ... The early campaigns of the 100 Years' War brings economic opportunity. Armorers, fletchers, shipbuilders, horse traders, and merchants supplying the army enjoy a steady flow of income. War feels far away. Danger feels remote. Life feels predictable. London sleeps well at night. A city crowded with life. Stand on London Bridge in the early 1340s and look down the length of the city. It is crowded in the most charming way. Children weave through adults with noisy energy. Vendors shout, monks hurry to service, servants carry baskets so full. They walk with determined tilts. Street performers sing or juggle with confident flair. Houses lean toward one another over narrow streets, like neighbors exchanging gossip. Laundry flutters from upper windows. Carts rattle on cobbles. Church bells echo from every direction. This is a city at its peak. Dense, lively, joyful, full of motion and human warmth. A perfect place for opportunity, growth, and connection. No one sees the danger hidden in that very closeness. Not yet. The feeling of stability, one of the quiet joys of the early 1340s, is how normal everything feels. Prices stabilize, harvests are good, trade flows smoothly, craftsmen take pride in their work, families plan for the future, Londoners talk about new homes, new apprentices, and new guild regulations, new shipments arriving, new festivals to celebrate. After years of rain, famine, political tension, and royal confusion, the city finally breathes freely. It feels like a long-awaited summer after endless gray winters. This feeling, this calm, confident rhythm, is what makes the next chapter of history so heartbreaking, because stability creates a sense of safety, and safety makes the world feel predictable. But history often waits for moments like this to change its course. A whisper on the wind, somewhere in distant lands, towns Londoners have never heard of, ports they cannot imagine. Something begins to move, not a storm, not an army, not a new king or empire. Something smaller, quieter, invisible. Ships continue crossing the seas. Merchants continue bargaining. Markets continue humming. But on the horizon of time, a shadow approaches, soft as a breath, silent as nightfall, and destined to change London. in ways no one could dream. For now the city rests in its brief golden hour, and tonight you may rest with it. London sleeps in peace, and peace always makes a beautiful prologue to the stories that come next. Chapter 7. The Black Death Arrives, 1348 to 1349. Take a slow, quiet breath, my friend. The year is 1348, and London is about to feel a ripple that crosses kingdoms, oceans, and the imagination of an entire age. But we will step into this moment gently, soft as mist rolling over the Thames. No fear, no darkness, only the calm observation of a city moving through a strange season. Let the world dim around you, and let London open before you. The first rumors. Before anything reaches London, rumors drift along the trade routes, like faint, unsettled whispers. Sailors speak of sickness in distant ports. Merchants mention deserted streets in foreign towns. Chroniclers scribble uncertain lines about entire villages gone quiet, far away beyond the seas. London listens, but gently, skeptically. The city has heard rumors before. Markets still hum. Church bells still ring. Life continues with familiar rhythm. No one imagines that a shadow is already moving closer. A ship on the horizon. In the autumn of 1348, ships continue to glide up the Thames with their usual confidence. One carries barrels of wine, another unloads rolls of cloth, another brings spices, timber, wax, and somewhere among them, perhaps in a bundle of cloth, perhaps in the fur of a rat hiding in the hold, perhaps in the breath of a traveling merchant, the plague slips silently into England, not with thunder, not with spectacle, but quietly, like a guest no one remembers inviting. It arrives in the port towns first, then it travels inland, and slowly, steadily, it enters the outskirts of London. The first days of confusion. In early winter, something begins to feel different. Not dramatic, not terrifying, just different. Apprentices whisper that a neighbor fell ill unexpectedly. Merchants mention that a colleague did not open his shop today. A monk from a nearby parish asks for prayers for a sick brother. Londoners notice it, but life is busy, and people want to believe. It is nothing unusual. Markets continue, guilds meet, churches fill for services, children chase one another through narrow lanes with carefree voices. The city has no idea that the slow ripple is about to become a wave. The city begins to quiet. By early 1349, the rhythm changes. Just a little at first, like a subtle shift in wind before a storm. Crowds thin, shops close earlier. People speak in softer tones, leaning closer, as if trying to understand something that has no name. Even the river seems quieter. Fewer ships arrive. Fewer crates thud onto docks. Fewer taverns echo with laughter. It is not fear, not yet. It is uncertainty. A collective pause as London tries to piece together. What is happening? Church bells and candlelight. The heart of the city beats differently now. Church bells ring more often. Calls for prayer, for comfort, for calm. Clergy move through the streets. With steady, practiced grace, offering blessings, carrying candles, reciting gentle words to those who need them. People draw closer to their families, their neighbors, their parishes. London, a city once loud with trade, now hums quietly with murmured prayers and small acts of kindness. The stillness of the streets. By spring 1349, the city reaches a strange and fragile stillness. The busiest markets, Cheapside, Cornhill, Billingsgate, feel lighter, as if someone turned down their volume. Merchants keep their stalls open, but customers drift slowly, carefully. Carts move at a gentler pace. Tavern doors open less often. Children play closer to home. Fathers return from work a little earlier. Mothers watch the streets with quieter eyes. The weather warms, and yet the city feels cool, as if holding its breath. London is not broken. It is not falling. It is simply waiting, trying to understand. A silence it has never known. The human side of the plague. Despite the strange times, something beautiful emerges. Neighbors help neighbors and people share food and check on the elderly. Clergy visit families and offer prayers at doorways. Guilds support their own, ensuring apprentices have shelter. And masters are not left alone. Windows glow longer at night as families sit together, sharing stories, songs, and memories. The city, once loud and bustling, and now feels intimate, connected in a way that only difficult moments can create. A city wrapped in quiet courage. The plague affects every district: Southwark, Westminster, Bishopsgate, Ludgate, the narrow lanes near the river, the busy neighborhoods near markets. But through it all, London displays a quiet courage. That becomes the foundation of its survival. People adapt, they adjust routines, they stay home more often. They rely on the steady presence of their parishes and guilds, and slowly, gently, London moves through the worst of it, not with heroics, but with steady resilience, the way a candle glows, even in a draft. The first signs of hope. By late 1349, the city begins to notice change. Not sudden, not dramatic, just small, steady signs that the worst has passed. Church bells ring less frequently. Merchants begin reopening shops. Ships return to the river docks. children play farther from home. Bakers light their ovens earlier. Markets regain patches of laughter. The city is bruised but breathing again. And Londoners, though weary, step into the streets. With soft, cautious gratitude, the shadow has passed, the city has endured, and life in its gentle, persistent way begins to return. A quiet after the storm. As Chapter 7 closes, picture London at dusk. A city washed in gold, the Thames calm, candles glowing in windows, and a soft wind carrying the sound of 1,000 whispered thank yous. London has survived one of the darkest moments in its history, and though it does not yet know it, from this silence will rise a new kind of strength. A strength that will carry it into recovery, rebirth, and the beginnings of a transformed medieval world. Tonight that you may rest with London -- a city bruised but unbroken. Chapter 8. A City in Darkness. Take a slow breath and imagine a London you have not yet seen. A London where silence moves through the streets like mist. Not a threatening silence, but a stillness born of exhaustion, reflection, and the weight of a year. That changed everything. The plague has come and gone, and now the city stands in the quiet aftermath. This chapter is not about fear. It is about stillness, emptiness, and the strange beauty of a city learning to inhabit its silence. Let the world soften around you and step with me into London. Early 1350. The quiet streets. Picture Cheapside at dawn. Once the loudest heartbeat of the city. Now the sun rises over quieter stalls. Merchants open shutters slowly, as if unsure who will walk by. The usual push and shove of morning trade has dissolved into gentle space. The air feels wider. The roads seem broader. Even the echo of footsteps sounds unfamiliar. It is not abandonment. It is simply the presence of fewer people and the absence of the familiar crowd that once filled every corner. London feels uncluttered, unhurried, muted, like a lute with one string removed. Markets with empty gaps. Where once stood bakers shouting prices, butchers displaying fresh cuts, fishmongers arguing in dramatic tones, cloth sellers shaking out bright fabrics, now stand quiet spaces. A few stalls remain lively, their merchants determined, hopeful. But beside them, empty tables rest under folded awnings, quiet reminders that familiar faces are gone. The goods themselves have changed too. Less meat, less fish, fewer luxuries, more simple bread, more root vegetables, more basic goods that keep a city steady in difficult times. And yet in this simplicity, there is a gentle order, a soft rhythm, returning to the markets. one heartbeat at a time. The river without its roar. The Thames, usually a symphony of creaking masts, shouting sailors, and clattering cargo, now moves slowly and quietly. Fewer ships arrive. Fewer crates thud onto docks. Fewer hands scramble to unload. The water glints in the sunlight with a reflective calm dash, 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 as if the river itself is taking a long breath. But trade has not died. It has only slowed. Foreign merchants return cautiously, Italians with small shipments, Flemish traders with careful optimism, Hanseatic ships carrying essential goods. They walk through the quieter quays. With respectful steps, their voices softened by the city's mood. London, even in grief, remains open to the world. Workshops, half full and half silent. Behind the markets, near the narrow lanes of craftsmen, another kind of silence sits. Forges burn less brightly. The rhythmic clang of metal is rarer. Spinning wheels hum softly, but not endlessly. Tanners, coopers, carpenters. They work steadily, but fewer in number. At guild halls, meetings are smaller. Benches once crowded now hold broad spaces between the men who attend. Yet the work continues. Shoes still need mending, barrels still need shaping, tools still need sharpening, and Londoners still need everything a city requires to function. The craftsmen persevere, not out of ambition, but because work brings a comforting sense of normalcy. Churches full of candlelight. London's churches become the city's brightest places, not with sorrow, but with calm. Candles burn in rows. Prayers rise quietly. Choirs sing with soft determination, their voices offering warmth to a city that feels hollowed out. Priests speak of endurance. Monks copy manuscripts with a gentleness that feels almost like healing. Parishioners gather, not in panic, but in solidarity. For many, churches offer the first feeling that life might someday feel normal again. The echoes of absence. Walking through London in 1350 means noticing echoes dash dash, not loud ones, but subtle. A missing stall at the market, a workshop with fewer apprentices, a street unusually quiet, a house window that never opens. These small absences accumulate into a feeling that London has become a little too spacious, and yet, in this new spaciousness, a strange clarity emerges. People see one another more easily. Neighbors remember each other's names. Families reconnect. Guilds support the widowed and orphaned. The city becomes, in its own somber way, more intimate. Economic shock told gently. Prices shift in unusual directions. Food becomes expensive for a short while because supply chains are fragile, but labor becomes precious. With fewer hands to do the work, wages rise. Servants negotiate better conditions. Apprentices gain quicker promotions. Peasants from the countryside drift into the city seeking opportunity. Slowly, subtly, London's social order begins to stretch. What was once rigid now feels negotiable, flexible, open to quiet transformation. The city is wounded, but it is also learning to rebuild in a new shape. Moments of human tenderness. Despite the darkness, the most enduring memory of this period is not despair, but humanity. Families share food with neighbors. Guilds pay for the burials of the poor. Merchants forgive debts. Strangers help one another. Carry water, split wood, fetch bread. Comfort children. People speak softly to one another in the streets as if aware that every voice is a gift. The city is sad but kind, quiet but gentle. Signs of return. By late 1350 and into 1351, the silence thins. More carts travel the roads, markets grow livelier, ships return. Workshops roar again, with serious energy. Children laugh in alleys with renewed boldness. Church bells shift from mournful tolling to joyful ringing. London is not the same, but it is alive, and that after the stillness is enough. The end of darkness. As chapter 8 closes, imagine London at sunset, windows lit with warm lamps, the Thames curling quietly around the city's edges, and a gentle wind brushing dust from the streets. The darkness has passed, but its memory will shape the city's choices, its politics, its labor, its guilds, its entire century. London will rise again, stronger, wiser, and ready for the unexpected spark of rebirth. That always follows hardship. And now you may drift softly with this recovering city into a calm night. Chapter 9. The Long, Slow Rebirth. Settle deeper into your blankets, my friend. Tonight we drift into a gentler chapter, a chapter not of fear or sorrow, but of renewal. It is the early 1350s and London a city that has endured the greatest silence in its history, now begins to breathe again, not with sudden joy, not with loud celebration, but with a quiet, steady determination to reclaim life. This is the story of London's slow rebirth. A city waking up. Imagine walking through London just after sunrise. The sky glows pale gold, the air cool, the streets still damp. From the night, for the first time in months, the city feels slightly fuller. Footsteps echo more regularly. Shutters open earlier, market stalls reappear. Chimneys exhale thin, hopeful smoke. It is as if London, after a long and painful sleep is stretching its limbs. Life returns softly, not with fanfare, but with small, persistent motions. The markets find their rhythm again. Cheapside slowly regains its voice. At first, only a few stalls. Returned a baker with modest loaves, a cloth seller displaying just 2 rolls of wool, a spice merchant with jars half filled, a farmer selling onions and apples. But week by week, the gaps close. New merchants arrive, old ones reopen. Goods grow more varied, colors more vibrant, the smell of fresh bread more dependable. By mid-1351, Cheapside hums again. Not quite as loudly as before, but with deeper appreciation. People greet one another with warmth, not the hurried nods of earlier years, but heartfelt recognition. The plague has given Londoners a new sense of gratitude for the simple miracle of a busy market. Labor becomes precious. With so many workers gone, labor becomes valuable, more valuable than at any point in memory. Farmhands, craftsmen, servants, apprentices. Everyone can negotiate better conditions. Wages rise. Working hours become reasonable. Masters treat apprentices more gently. Even tenants find that landlords have become surprisingly flexible. This new balance of power slowly reshapes society. The city feels strangely more equal and more open, more full of possibility for those who once lived on the narrowest margins. Guilds. Step forward. The guilds. London's great brotherhoods of trades play a central role in the city's recovery. Goldsmiths, weavers, carpenters, bakers, shoemakers, fishmongers, coopers. Each guild strengthens its rules to protect quality and fair wages. They take care of widows and orphans. They support apprentices whose masters have died. They help keep trade flowing even when the workforce is thin. Guild halls become warm, comforting places, filled not with feasts or bold declarations, but with quiet meetings and steady plans. The foundations of London's economy grow sturdier than ever before. Merchants rebuild their networks. Merchants, too, rise slowly back to strength. They write letters to partners in Flanders and Genoa. They restock their warehouses. They reopen shipping routes. They lend to one another with careful generosity. The Thames sees more ships. With each passing season, wine from Gascony, wool from the countryside, timber from the Baltic, fine cloth from Bruges, spices from the Mediterranean. The city reconnects with the world, not with the frantic energy of the early 1300s, but with measured, resilient confidence. Families rebuild what was lost. Every home in London carries memories of sorrow. But what defines this era is not grief, it is rebuilding. Families adopt orphaned children. Neighbors share food. New marriages bring new beginnings. Houses once dark fill with candlelight. Gardens bloom again. Cats and dogs return to doorsteps as if sensing the household is whole enough to welcome them. Londoners rediscover joy in small things: warm bread, friendly faces, church bells on Sunday, laughter in taverns, the simple act of opening a window to let sunlight in. Rebirth in this century is not loud, it is tender. Churches as sanctuaries of hope. The churches of London carry an especially warm glow. During these years, priests speak not of fear but of resilience. Monks copy texts with careful reverence. Choirs sing softly, their harmonies drifting gently into the streets. Candles burn long into the night. Weddings increase. Baptisms fill parish registers. Communities gather to celebrate endurance. The church becomes not a place of mourning, but a cornerstone of recovery. A new social landscape. The plague leaves behind a changed social fabric. Many rural laborers move into London seeking higher wages and a fairer life. The city becomes younger, more diverse, more hopeful. Some districts expand rapidly. Southwark, Bishopsgate, Smithfield, Westminster. Workshops reopen. Taverns brim with cautious optimism. This is the birth of a more mobile society, where your future depends less on where you were born and more on what you choose to build. It is one of the plague's unexpected legacies. The rebirth of the river, the Thames itself, returns to life. More boats, more cargo, more foreign voices, calling across the docks. The river, once quiet and reflective, becomes again a busy artery, but the people working along its banks do so with a new kind of respect. The river has endured like the city and Londoners treat it with. A quiet reverence. There is beauty. Instability regained. The city finds its light again. By the mid-1350s, London hums once more, not with the loud, chaotic confidence of the early century, but with something gentler. A resilience born of survival. You hear laughter in taverns. Cloth merchants reopen their lofts. Goldsmiths cut gemstones with renewed concentration. Children run through the streets with careless joy. London does not forget the shadow it endured, but it also refuses to be defined by it. The city moves forward, slow, steady, brightening, one small moment at a time. A quiet triumph. As Chapter 9 closes, picture London at twilight, shops shuttering softly, church bells chiming the hour, candles glowing in windows, the Thames reflecting the last light of a peaceful day. No celebrations, no parades, no grand announcements, just a city breathing again, patiently, gently, triumphantly. The long, slow rebirth has begun, and from here, London will step toward a century reshaped by new opportunities, new freedoms, and new voices. Tonight, you may rest with this reborn city, a city that proves life always finds a way forward. Chapter 10. London reinvents itself. Let your breath fall gently like dusk settling over rooftops. Tonight we step into a London awakening, not merely recovering from the plague, but reimagining itself. This is the decade after 1350, when the city begins to rebuild, not just what it lost, but who it wants to become. It is a quieter story, but one filled with resilience, creativity, and a kind of soft determination, found only in places that have survived what seemed impossible. Settle into the stillness and let the streets unfold. A city reshaped by space. The most immediate change after the plague is space. London, once crowded to the point of bursting, now feels open. Where houses once pressed tightly together, new gardens appear. Neighbors plant herbs, small fruit trees, patches of medicinal flowers, taught to them by monks and midwives. Some abandoned lots turn into courtyards. Others become workshops, storage yards, or places where children gather to play in the afternoons. For the first time in memory, Londoners breathe deeply. The city feels expansive, less hurried, less confined. Space becomes a quiet luxury. Architecture begins to change. With more available land, Londoners begin to build differently. Houses grow wider. Timber frames straighten. Streets gain structure. Roofs are reinforced to shed water more effectively. Some wealthier families experiment with stone foundations to replace the weaker wooden ones. Guild halls are renovated with pride and purpose. Parish churches expand their naves and open larger windows to let in more light, a symbolic gesture matching the mood of renewal. And within the Tower of London, administrative buildings are strengthened, reflecting the Crown's desire to stabilize the kingdom. After so much uncertainty, London is not merely rebuilding, it is upgrading. Guilds as the city's architects of renewal. Guilds step into a golden age in the late 1350s. These brotherhoods of goldsmiths, carpenters, cloth workers, bakers, tanners, butchers, fishmongers, and more become the engines driving London's reinvention. They regulate prices, they maintain quality, they train new apprentices to replace the ones lost. Guild halls bustling again, host elections, feasts, meetings about trade standards, charity programs, lessons in craftsmanship. The plague made labor precious, and guilds use this moment to elevate skills and pride in every craft. London's identity as a city of makers and merchants grows stronger than ever before. New hygiene and public health measures, told gently, the memory of the plague, encourages new habits, nothing dramatic, nothing modern, just small but meaningful changes. Streets are swept more often. Rubbish pits are monitored. Tanners and butchers follow stricter rules about where waste can be left. Some parishes begin scheduled cleaning days. Wells are repaired. River access points are maintained with more care. London learns in its medieval way that a cleaner city is a safer city. These steps, small as they seem, help shape the London that will later rise into a global metropolis. Trade adapts with fresh ingenuity. Merchants, forever resourceful, adapt quickly to the new economy. With fewer workers in Europe, demand for English wool and cloth rises. London exports more textiles than ever before. Italian banking houses return to the city, bringing stability and credit. Hanseatic merchants rebuild their presence at the steel yard. Wine flows in again from Gascony, saffron and pepper, from the Mediterranean, timber from the Baltic. By 1360, London's docks hum with activity. Steady, methodical, like a river finding its path again. After a long drought, trade does not merely recover, it transforms. The rise of skilled labor, with wages higher and opportunities plentiful, the people of London discover new ambitions. A servant saves enough to open a stall. An apprentice becomes a master. Years earlier than expected, a young widow starts a small business, selling ale or bread. Immigrants from the countryside arrive seeking better lives, and many find them. Social mobility dash, far from the rigid traditions of earlier centuries dash, begins to take shape. London becomes a place where the future feels almost negotiable, where skill matters as much as birth, where a clever mind and a strong work ethic can change a life. A cultural softening. Perhaps the most subtle change is in the hearts of Londoners. After witnessing so much loss, people value community more deeply. Taverns brim, again, not with noisy chaos, but with warm conversation. Neighbors linger longer at each other's doorsteps. Festivals, when they return, feel more cherished. The city develops a slightly gentler personality, as if remembering how precious each day is. Even the clergy preach a softer message: mercy, charity, humility, and gratitude for the gift of life. The Thames reawakens. The river, which had grown eerily quiet during the plague, now buzzes with renewed life. Boats glide smoothly. Dock workers call out instructions in confident voices. Fishermen return with their familiar energy. Children gather by the banks to watch ships depart. The Thames becomes, once again, London's great artery, a symbol of movement, trade, and the unbroken pulse of the city. Its surface glimmering under the sun mirrors the resilience of those who live beside it. A city with new priorities. By the early 1360s, London knows exactly what it wants to preserve and what it wants to change. It wants cleaner streets. It wants strong guilds. It wants fair wages. It wants reliable markets. It wants stable governance. It wants community. It wants hope. And above all, it wants a future. The plague, with all its destruction, has given London something unexpected, a chance to rebuild with intention. The gentle triumph of reinvention. As chapter 10 closes, picture the city at twilight. Newly repaired houses, guild halls glowing with candlelight, the distant sound of blacksmiths finishing their work, merchants counting coins by the river, families gathered for evening meals, children laughing again. In small courtyards, London is no longer merely recovering. It is reinventing itself, slowly, deliberately, beautifully. A city reshaped by hardship but not defined by it. A city stepping into the second half of the 14th century, stronger than before. A city ready for the next great upheaval, the one that will shake the kingdom in the year 1381. But that is a story we will save for soon. For now, you may rest with this city of quiet determination. Chapter 11. The Peasants Revolt, 1381. Take a long, slow breath, my friend. Tonight we walk into one of the most astonishing moments in London's medieval story. A moment of anger, hope, confusion, and unexpected courage. But we will step into it gently, softly, as if turning the pages of a fragile manuscript. The year is 1381. London has rebuilt itself. After plague, famine, and economic hardship, its workshops glow, its markets hum, its people dream again. But beneath the calm surface, like quiet ripples beneath a boat, something restless begins to move. A kingdom under strain. England in the late 1370s is a place of mixed feelings. Trade prospers, but taxes are heavy. Guilds stabilize the city, but peasants in the countryside struggle under new burdens. The plague reshaped the labor market. Workers were few, their work more valuable than ever. But many nobles refuse to accept this new reality. Laws attempt to freeze wages, restrict movement, and force laborers back into an older, harsher system. People feel the pressure. Not sudden, not dramatic, just a slow tightening of expectations and obligations. And then a new tax arrives. A tax on every person, rich or poor. For many, it is the final straw. London feels the rumblings. At first, London hears only rumors, whispers drifting along the Thames, of villages refusing tax collectors, of crowds gathering in Kent and Essex, of men speaking boldly in market squares. Inside taverns, merchants murmur about unrest. Guild masters frown over ale. Priests discuss sermons on justice and fairness. No one believes the countryside's anger will ever reach the capital. London feels protected, surrounded by its walls, its wealth, its long experience with chaos and survival. But the murmurs grow and then grow louder. The spark catches flame. June 1381. The march begins. In early June, something extraordinary happens. Groups of villagers, not soldiers, not trained fighters, but ordinary people, begin marching toward London. From Kent in the southeast, from Essex in the northeast. They carry simple tools, walking sticks, farm implements, whatever they have at hand, not to fight a war, but to speak, to be heard, to demand fairness. And leading them is a man named Wat Tyler -. Confident, calm, beloved by those who follow him. Another voice rises too, John Ball, a wandering priest, known for his bold sermons. His words travel far, when Adam delved and Eve span. Who is then the gentleman? It is a gentle challenge, a question about equality, about the dignity of all work, about the value of every human being. These words echo through the green hills toward London. London watches the approach. As the crowds come closer, the city grows tense. From the tower windows, from the guild halls, from the narrow lanes near the markets, Londoners look southeast and sense change approaching. Some fear it, some welcome it, some simply wait, but everyone agrees. On one surprising fact, the march is orderly. The people walk with purpose, not chaos. They stay together, they sing prayers, they speak politely. To those who question them, it is not an army, it is a movement. And movements, London knows, can reshape history. The gates open. And then something remarkable occurs as the crowd reaches the city. With thousands now gathered filling fields and roads. London's gates open, not because the city is conquered, not because the walls are breached. They open because London's own citizens choose to open them. Some sympathize with the people outside, some fear conflict, and hope kindness will keep peace. Some simply trust that talking is better than fighting. And so in June 1381, the greatest city in England lets the countryside in. The marchers enter quietly, like visitors stepping into a great cathedral. Their eyes widen at the sight of tall buildings, busy wharves, and the soaring towers they had heard about only in stories. London has never seen anything like this. A city filled with echoes. For a few days, London feels full to the brim, not with trade or celebration, but with voices, seeking justice, The streets fill with conversations, not shouting, not disorder, just an overwhelming number of people speaking all at once. Some gather at St. Paul's, others near London Bridge. Many assemble in the open spaces where crowds can breathe. They discuss taxes, wages, freedom to work where they wish, and the burdens placed on ordinary people. London's citizens listen. Many nod quietly. Some join in, others stay cautious. The city becomes a living parliament, not of nobles, but of everyday people. The young king appears. England's king is only 14, Richard II, tall for his age, gentle in demeanor, with a clear calmness in his eyes. He stands at Mile End to meet the marchers. Not from a throne, not behind walls, but face to face. He listens. He speaks softly. He promises reforms. The crowd cheers, not because everything is solved, but because they feel seen in the heart of London. It is a moment of connection, a bridge between the powerful and the powerless. For one brief hour, the entire kingdom seems to breathe together. A turning point. The days that follow bring confusion, negotiation, and tension. The story becomes tangled, too tangled for the soft rhythm of a sleep-time tale. So we will step gently over the conflict and move to the quiet truth that rises afterward. The revolt ends. The marchers return home, but they leave behind a transformed city. London does not forget what it witnessed. 1,000 voices walking together, asking to be heard. The legacy of 1381. The rebellion is over, but its impact lingers. Laws slowly change. Wages rise further. Peasants gain new freedoms. The old feudal world begins to crack. England will not abolish serfdom overnight, but the idea that ordinary people deserve dignity and a say in their lives takes root. And where did it take root? In London, along Cheapside, in guild halls, near the Tower, on the roads to Westminster, in the fields outside the walls, where thousands camp together. The city becomes the quiet cradle of new possibilities. A city reflects. As chapter 11 closes, picture London at dusk in 1381. The crowd's gone, the fields empty, the streets settling back into familiar rhythm. But something is different. Like a lantern flame that flickers, dims, and grows steady again. The city now carries a deeper understanding of its own people. London has learned that voices matter, that unity can move mountains, and that even the greatest city must listen to those who live beyond its walls. The revolt is over, but a seed of change remains. And London, wise and ancient, keeps that seed safe for the centuries to come. Chapter 12. The Twilight of the Century. A humbled, wiser city. Let your breath soften like the evening wind slipping gently through the narrow lanes of London. Tonight we close episode 3 with a quiet walk through the late 1300s, a time of reflection, rebuilding, and a kind of wisdom earned only after surviving storms no one expected. The century that began with bustling optimism and thriving trade has weathered famine, plague, revolt, and the reshaping of an entire society. Now we arrive at its twilight, a soft, contemplative dusk over a city humbled and profoundly transformed. Settle into your pillow and follow the fading light. The city after the revolt. In the years after 1381, London feels calmer, as though the city itself is exhaling after a long breath held too long. The rebellion leaves behind deep questions about fairness, justice, work, and the relationship between rulers and the ruled, but it also leaves behind a remarkable strength. Londoners, whether craftsmen or merchants, priests or dock workers, understand now that their voices matter, that unity has power, that the city's heart beats strongest when its people stand together. This newfound awareness settles gently into the walls, the markets, the guild halls, and the daily conversations. Shared at doorsteps and taverns, it shapes the century's end with a quiet, determined dignity. A new kind of stability. By the mid-1380s, the rhythms of everyday life find solid ground again, markets flourish, guilds refine regulations, trade expands with renewed caution, craftsmen rebuild tools and shops, families focus on raising children in a safer, calmer world. London Bridge grows lively once more. Its shops, its clatter, its bustling river, traffic below. The Thames regains its familiar pulse, boats gliding, ropes creaking, watermen calling directions with cheerful confidence. Commerce returns to something like normal, but not the naive normal of the early 1300s. This new stability is wiser less taken for granted, more deeply valued. The shadows of the past now softened. The famine of 1315 to 1317 is a distant memory. The plague of 1348 still flickers in stories, but its jagged edges have softened with time. The revolt of 1381 has become a lesson, not a scar. Londoners do not forget, but they no longer live under the weight of those memories. Instead, they carry them like lanterns, guiding, illuminating, reminding them how quickly life can change and how strong a community can be. In moments of hardship, the century's darkest moments have become its greatest teachers. A changing spiritual life. Churches and monasteries end the century With renewed importance, clergy preach hope and unity. Parish priests build strong bonds with their communities. Monks continue their quiet work, copying texts, tending gardens, teaching children who cannot yet read. The memory of the plague has softened hearts. People pray not out of fear, but out of gratitude, for health, for family, for the simple blessing of another day. Church bells ring with a deeper warmth, calling not just worshipers, but a city trying to hold on to its better nature. Art, learning, and a spark of imagination. As the century moves toward its end, a small but steady revival of culture appears. Poets travel between English towns, sharing verses. Minstrels perform in taverns. Guilds sponsor pageants with costumed actors retelling saints' stories and old legends. A young writer named Geoffrey Chaucer walks the streets of London, absorbing its sounds, its characters, its humor, its humanity. He sees in the city a tapestry of stories, from merchants and pilgrims to stable boys and nuns. London becomes both muse and marketplace for ideas. Even in a century shadowed by hardship, creativity quietly blossoms. The next generation steps forward. Children who grew up during the plague's aftermath and the revolt's upheaval reach adulthood in the 1390s. They do not remember a world without change. To them, London is a place of opportunity, a city where a baker's son can become a guild master, where a country girl can find work and independence, where an apprentice might one day open a shop of his own. This generation carries a spirit of possibility, shaped not by fear, but by resilience. They step into London's future with steady determination. A city more connected than ever. The Thames in the late 1300s is a river of motion. Ships from Flanders, merchants from Italy, barrels of wine from Gascony, wool leaving for Bruges, timber arriving from the Baltic, spices from Mediterranean ports. European trade networks grow more sophisticated every year. London, once just a British port, is now a vital artery in an international web of commerce. Foreign accents mingle at the docks and in taverns. Letters from overseas arrive for merchants almost daily. London is learning that it is not merely England's city, it belongs to the wider world. Richard II and a kingdom in transition. As the century wanes, England is ruled by the same young king who once stood before thousands of marchers at Mile End. Richard II, now older, more self-assured, and more complicated, his reign becomes a tapestry woven with hope, controversy, tension, and style. London watches him carefully, sometimes with admiration, sometimes with concern, but the city itself remains strong, stable, and deeply rooted. Whatever storms gather, in royal circles, London is ready. This century has taught it how to bend without breaking. A soft sunset over a long century. As 1400 approaches, London stands at the threshold of a new age. The city is wiser and more confident than it was in 1300. It has endured more than anyone could have imagined: hunger, plague, revolt, political strain, economic upheaval. And yet here it stands, alive with light, trade, laughter, and the quiet hum of resilience. Imagine London at dusk around 1399. Candles glow in windows. Smoke drifts gently from 1,000 hearths. Merchants close their shutters. Guilds lock their halls. The river reflects the final shimmer of daylight. The century ends, not with triumph or defeat, but with calm resolution. A humbled city, a wiser city, a city ready for the next story. A gentle bridge to the next episode. As Chapter 12 and Episode 3 draws to a close, let your eyes grow heavy and your mind rest softly. The storm has passed. London stands taller, stronger, more compassionate, more self-aware. Ahead lies a new era, one of kings overthrown, dynasties challenged, and a renaissance whispering at the edge of the horizon. But that is a tale waiting quietly in Episode 4. Tonight, rest in the gentle twilight of a city that has survived its shadows and earned its peace. Sleep well, traveler. London will be here when you return. Closing. The shadow lifts. Let your breath slow and let London fade gently into the quiet of your room. Tonight we have walked together through a century shaped by shadows, a century of storms, silence, resilience, and unexpected courage. You saw London at its brightest. In the early 1300s, its markets laughing, its river alive, its people filled with hope. You stood with the city. As dark clouds gathered, the endless reign of the Great Famine, the quiet, growing uncertainty. Before the plague's arrival, you watched a great city fall into stillness, its streets suddenly wide and hushed, its river gentle as glass, its people speaking in whispers and lighting candles against the unknown. And then you walked with London through its slow, steady rebirth, through guild halls warming with life again, through markets reopening stall by stall, through the gentle rise of wages and the quiet strength of ordinary people rebuilding their days. You followed the footsteps of marchers in 1381, not warriors, but voices seeking fairness. And you saw a young king meeting them face to face. You watched the century settle. into a softer rhythm, its lessons carried gently in the hearts of its people. And now, as the 1300s fade like the last glow of dusk, London stands transformed, humbled but unbroken, quieter but wiser, changed forever by the shadows it survived. This is a city that has learned to rise again and again, not loudly, but with the patient resilience of a candle refusing to go out. So as you rest tonight, let the images linger, dash, dash. The soft glow of candlelit windows, the calm flow of the Thames, the narrow streets washed in twilight, the gentle murmur of markets, returning to life, the steady heartbeat of a city that refused to surrender. London sleeps now, and so may you. When you wake, a new chapter will await, a century of kings and rebels, of new dynasties and hidden ambitions, of a city stepping boldly toward the dawn of the Renaissance. But that is a story for another night. For now, rest well, traveler. The shadows have lifted, the city has endured, and tomorrow London will rise again.